The house was supposed to be empty. That's what the real estate agent told the Parkers when they moved in last winter. No tenants. No neighbors. No noise for miles. Just an old farmhouse sitting between cold fields and the silent woods behind it. But on the very first night, something whispered inside the walls. It began when the heater clicked off, and the house fell quiet for just a moment. Sarah Parker froze. Her husband Adam thought he heard a mouse. But their son Milo was the first to whisper, "Mom, who's laughing?" At first Sarah didn't believe him. But as she took a step closer to Milo's bedroom wall, she heard it too, a soft giggle like a little girl hiding under a blanket. The giggle slipped into a hush, then into a slow, sad humming, a lullaby she didn't recognize. And then, scratch. A single violent drag of nails tearing against wood from inside the wall. The wall shook. Milo screamed. The humming stopped. And another giggle came from the other side of the room, from a different wall. Sarah turned on every noise-making thing in the house. Fans, radios, a TV. And the scratching stopped instantly, like whatever was behind the walls hated silence. Over the next few days the family tried to make sense of it. They blamed the wind, old pipes, animals. But animals didn't whisper. Animals didn't hum lullabies. Animals didn't scrape walls only when the house went silent. And animals didn't talk. Because on the fourth night, when the heater died again and the house went still, Sarah heard a voice, not a giggle this time. A child's voice. Right behind her ear. "Play with us." She dropped the glass she was holding. It shattered. But the noise didn't matter, because the voice continued even after the sound filled the kitchen. "Play with us." And suddenly, the entire hallway wall began to scratch as if 20 small hands were dragging bone nails across the wooden boards. That was the moment the Parkers realized the truth. The house didn't want to hurt them. It wanted company. Because this house, this quiet, lonely house, had been whispering for decades. And the children inside the walls? They never stopped waiting. The Parker family arrived at the farmhouse on a cold afternoon in late November. The sky hung low and gray, and the wind carried a strange, thin whistle that never seemed to stop. Adam kept saying the place just needed warmth. Sarah kept pretending she believed that. And their 8-year-old son Milo kept staring at the house like it was staring back at him. The farmhouse looked old but strong, white paint peeling off like dry skin, long cracked windows, and a roof shaped like a frown. A long porch wrapped around the front, its boards bending under their steps. Everything felt tired. Everything felt too quiet. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old wood. The living room was small, with narrow hallways spreading out like veins. The walls seemed thick, too thick, and the silence inside the house felt heavy, almost like sound couldn't move freely. Sarah began unpacking while Adam checked the boiler downstairs. Milo wandered from room to room, dragging his fingers along the walls. He didn't say much, but Sarah kept watching him. He moved slowly, almost like he was listening for something. It happened only 10 minutes after they arrived. Adam was in the basement. Sarah was in the kitchen. Milo was in his new room, staring at the wall near the closet. The heater clicked off. And suddenly the whole house became silent. An unnatural, painful silence that felt deeper than peace. It was an empty kind of quiet, as if everything, even the air, was holding its breath. Then came the sound. A soft giggle. Sure. Close. It echoed faintly, like a child giggling into a pillow. Milo froze. He turned slowly toward the wall. The giggle turned into quiet humming, light, sweet, almost like a lullaby. Then, scratch. A violent scrape against the wood deep inside the wall. One long drag like nails digging through layers. Milo screamed. Sarah ran into the room, her heart racing. She grabbed Milo and pulled him back, pressing him against her chest. What happened? What happened? Milo pointed at the wall, shaking. There's a kid in there. Sarah didn't believe it at first. She didn't want to. But when she stepped closer to the wall, she heard it too. The humming. Soft, slow, set. And then another scratch, fast, angry, climbing upward. The wall shivered under her palm. Sarah backed away, grabbed Milo's hand, and hurried downstairs, shouting for Adam. He came running, dust on his clothes, confused and annoyed, until the house fell silent again. The heater had clicked off a second time. The quiet hit them like a wave. And inside that quiet, the walls came alive. Giggles rattled through the hallway. Whispering voices slithered between the rooms. A soft knocking came from behind the living room wall. One knock, then two, then a playful rap like someone trying to get attention. But the scratching was the worst. It came from everywhere, hard, violent scratches, like 20 small hands dragging nails across wood at the same time. The walls seemed to pulse with the sound, the vibrations shaking the picture frames. Sarah screamed. Adam grabbed Milo and yelled, "Turn on something. Anything." Sarah ran toward the kitchen, her hands trembling. She flipped on the radio. Static filled the air first. Then music. The sound stopped instantly. The giggles vanished. The humming cut off. The scratching ended like a switch had been flipped. The silence was gone, replaced by normal household noise. But the Parker family wasn't comforted. Their breathing stayed sharp. Their eyes stayed wide. "What was that?" Adam whispered. Sarah didn't answer. She just looked at Milo, who was staring at the stairs. "They don't like quiet," Milo whispered. "When it gets quiet, they wake up." Adam shook his head, trying to laugh it off. "It was old pipes," he said. "Animals in the walls. Old houses." "No," Milo interrupted. "Animals don't laugh." Sarah's skin crawled. She didn't want to believe her son, but deep down, something inside the house felt wrong. Like it had been waiting. Like it had been listening. And now that the Parkers had arrived, it wasn't silent anymore. Even though the radio stopped the scratching that first night, none of them slept well. The farmhouse felt alive, and every time the heater paused, Sarah jolted awake, afraid the silence would bring the whispers again. The second night was worse. It started with Milo's toy. It was an old wooden truck, something he had since he was a toddler. He placed it on his dresser before bed. But sometime after midnight, Sarah heard something roll across the hallway floor, a slow, dragging rumble that made her eyes snap open. Adam was snoring beside her. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Sarah sat up, heart pounding. Then she heard it again. Roll. Slow. Heavy. Grinding against the wooden floorboards. Something was pushing Milo's toy truck. She threw off the blanket and hurried out of her room. The hallway was dark, except for a thin crack of moonlight leaking in through an old window. The toy truck sat at the far end of the hall. But Milo's room was on the opposite side. "How did it get here?" she whispered. The heater clicked off. Silence washed over the house like a cold fog. And that was when she heard it, the tiny giggle. Soft. Too close. Coming from the wall inches away from her ear. Sarah covered her mouth, her breath shaking. Another giggle slipped under the wallpaper, sliding down the hall like a child crawling inside the walls. Then, humming. Slow. Gentle. A lullaby meant for someone who never woke up. Sarah's eyes filled with fear. And the scratching began. Scratch, scratch, scratch. From inside the wall beside her. Then behind her. Then above her head, something crawling fast inside the ceiling boards. She backed away slowly, not daring to breathe. The wall bulged. Not much. Just an inch, like something pressed a small hand from inside, pushing the wallpaper outward. Tiny finger marks dragged downward, stretching the old paint. Sarah stumbled back, nearly falling. She flicked on the hallway light. Everything stopped. The wall fell still. The giggles vanished. Only the toy truck remained, right where the little hands left it. Milo stood in his doorway now, trembling, holding his blanket. "They moved it again," he whispered. "They want to play." "Who's they, Milo?" Sarah whispered. "The children," he said. "The ones in the walls." Before Sarah could answer, they heard Adam shout from downstairs. "Sarah. Milo. Come here." They ran down the steps. Adam pointed to the living room. In the center of the floor sat something new, a pile of small objects. Wooden blocks. Coins. Marbles. 3 old buttons. A tiny shoe that didn't belong to them. "Where did this stuff come from?" Adam asked. Before Sarah could answer, Milo whispered, "They left toys for me." Adam's face hardened. "No. Someone broke in. That's it." He grabbed a flashlight and hurried toward the basement door. Sarah begged him not to go, but he shook her off. The basement steps creaked as he went down. Sarah and Milo stood at the doorway. The basement light flickered once, twice, then went out completely, leaving Adam in darkness. "Adam?" Sarah called. Silence. Then, a whisper floated up through the darkness. Not one voice. Not 2. But dozens. Soft child voices. Humming. Chanting. Whispering words too fast to understand. Sarah grabbed Milo tight. "Adam, come back up." Before she could finish, the light snapped back on. Adam stood at the bottom of the stairs, pale, sweating. His flashlight was shaking in his hand. "We're not staying another night," he said. "Something is wrong with this house." But the house seemed to disagree. Because the moment he finished speaking, every vent, every pipe, every corner of the farmhouse went dead silent again, as if the house held its breath in anger. Screa watch. The sound tore through the entire basement at once. Then the hall walls. Then the ceiling. Then behind Sarah and Milo. Violent, furious scratching, hundreds of tiny hands at once. The farmhouse felt like it was waking up. And the children in the walls? They did not like the sound of leaving. Adam didn't sleep the rest of the night. He stayed awake in the living room with every light on and the TV playing loud news clips just to keep the house from going silent. But every time the TV volume dropped between clips, every time the channel paused for half a second, the giggles crawled back into the sound. It was like the house waited for even the smallest gap. Sarah spent the night sitting on the floor of Milo's room, refusing to leave him. She kept her phone playing soft music to keep the children in the walls calm. Every time the battery dropped, her heartbeat raced. But quiet moments came anyway. At around 4 a.m., the phone hit 1%. The screen dimmed. The music slowed. Then died completely. The silence hit immediately. The wall beside her bed shivered. Sarah pressed her hand over Milo's mouth to stop him from screaming as the scratching grew louder, fast, sharp, like small bones digging through wood. The wall shook violently once. Twice. Then the giggle came. Slow. Sweet. Right behind her ear. Wake up, playtime. Milo hid under his blanket. Sarah grabbed her phone like a weapon. She wanted to run but didn't dare make noise that could suddenly stop. So she whispered to herself. Please, please, not now. After a long minute, the heater kicked back on. The hum filled the room. The scratching stopped. The giggle faded away like dust slipping into the cracks. By sunrise, Adam had made a decision. We're checking out the crawl spaces and attic, he said. Something is inside these walls. Something real. I'm going to find it. Sarah didn't want him exploring anything. But something inside her needed answers too. Together they removed the wallpaper in the hallway, peeling strips of old floral designs off the wall. Underneath the wallpaper they found something strange. Small carvings. Dozens of them. Tiny lines scratched into the wooden boards. Shapes. Names. Dates. Marks like children trying to record days passing. Sarah touched one of the names. Anna, 1963. Another, Toby, 1963. Another, Marlene, 1964. Dozens of children's names, all carved at the same height, as if small hands stood shoulder to shoulder, scratching their names into the wall while trapped behind it. She stepped back, cold washing through her chest. Adam, this is not animals. Adam didn't answer. He was staring at something else, a small gap between the boards. A thin seam, almost invisible unless you looked closely. A crawl space. He fetched a crowbar and pried a wooden plank loose. It creaked open like an old door. A rush of stale air puffed out, smelling like dust and something rotten. Milo stood behind them, holding Sarah's leg. She didn't tell him to leave, she didn't want him alone, not even for a second. Adam pointed his flashlight into the dark opening. A long, narrow crawl space stretched deep into the wall. Dirt floor. Thin beams. Clusters of old blankets, torn clothes, a cracked doll face staring upward. But something else was inside. Small handprints. Hundreds. Coated in old dust and dried dirt. It's a hiding space, Adam whispered. Kids must have crawled in here. Maybe during a storm? Or a game. I don't know. Sarah shook her head. No. Look at the door. It locks from the inside. They were trying to keep something out. Adam climbed halfway into the crawl space to look deeper. Sarah's breath caught. Adam, don't go in. But he ignored her, crawling forward slowly, brushing aside old toy pieces and fabric scraps. The flashlight beam suddenly hit something else. Another wall. This one carved with long vertical scratches. Violent. Not small hands this time. Adult-sized. Sarah pulled Milo behind her. Something about those scratches felt wrong, too deep, too angry. Adam squinted and leaned closer. There was a crack in the second wall. From behind it came something. A whisper. Not a child's whisper. Oh, guttural. Like someone breathing through broken teeth. Adam froze. Sarah stepped back instinctively. Adam, get out. Now. The whisper repeated. A different word this time. Stay. Adam scrambled backward, hitting his head on a beam. The flashlight flickered. The whisper turned harsh, like someone dragging breath through mud. Then something scraped the inside of the second wall, hard, furious scratches that shook the crawlspace. Sarah screamed for Adam to get out. He slid out of the opening just as the inside wall bulged once, twice, as if something was pushing from the other side. They slammed the plank back shut. Sarah hammered nails into it with shaking hands. Milo whispered. They didn't like that. The children don't like when you look inside their home. Sarah lifted him up, tears burning her eyes. Why, Milo? Why don't they like it? Milo stared at the wall, expression blank. Because they're not alone in there. The house didn't behave the same after Adam opened the crawlspace. It felt angrier, hungrier, awake. The heater rattled non-stop as if trying to drown out whatever whispered behind the walls. Every door hinge in the house creaked without reason. The floors groaned even when nobody walked on them. And Milo? Milo grew quieter each hour. He kept looking at corners, at vents, at cracks in the walls. He flinched when sound stopped for even a second. Sarah noticed it first when she walked into the living room. Milo was sitting on the floor, staring at the wall in front of him. His toy truck rested on the carpet, untouched. Milo? She said gently. He didn't turn his head. They're saying something. Sarah's stomach twisted. Who? The children. She felt cold rush up her spine. What are they saying? They don't want us to leave. He paused. They said the house gets lonely. Sarah grabbed Milo's hand. Sweetie, they're not real. It's the house making noises. But Milo pulled his hand away, slowly shaking his head. They talk even when the house is loud. Before Sarah could respond, the TV suddenly shut off. Silence dropped hard. A whisper immediately slithered across the room. He's ours? Sarah reached for the remote with trembling fingers, but it slipped from her hand. The quiet thickened. The walls began to shift, shadows crawling like hands reaching for the floor. Then the giggles started. Not one. Many. Soft, overlapping giggles, rising and falling like a group of children running through a playground. But this wasn't playful. This was hungry. Scratch. A violent scrape tore through the wall by the TV. Then another from the corner. The wallpaper pulsed, stretching outward as if tiny fists pounded from the inside. Adam rushed in, grabbing the remote and blasting the volume to maximum. Noise filled the room. The scratching stopped. The wallpaper fell flat again. But Sarah saw something that made her knees weaken. Finger marks. Small. About the size of an 8-year-old's. Pressed against the inside of the wallpaper like hands leaving prints on fogged glass. Adam didn't see them. But Sarah did. And she knew one thing. The children were getting bolder. That afternoon, Adam decided to search the rest of the house for more hidden spaces. He believed there had to be a logical explanation. Old tunnels, abandoned storage rooms, maybe some forgotten architecture in the old farmhouse. Sarah begged him to stop. The house reacted violently last time. But Adam wasn't listening anymore. Fear and stress pushed him to irrational bravery. He checked behind closets, under stairs, inside built-in cabinets. Finally, he found something new in the upstairs hallway, another seam in the wall, similar to the first crawlspace. This one was smaller, lower, like it was made for children. Adam knelt on the floor and pressed his ear against it. Sarah gasped softly. Adam, don't. But his face changed. His eyes widened. He heard them. Humming. Soft. Close. Children humming just inches away. Adam stood up quickly. This is not normal. I am ripping this whole wall open. But before he could even fetch a tool, the house answered. The bulb above them flickered. Once. Twice. Then it shattered with a sharp pop. Glass sprayed across the hallway. The house went silent. Sarah grabbed Milo. Adam, don't move. Too late. A tiny handprint appeared on the wall behind Adam. Then another. And another. Dozens of them. Slapping softly against the wallpaper like children pressing their palms against a window. The prints slid upward. Downward. Side to side. Fast. Too fast. They weren't hands trying to escape. They were hands trying to find something. Or someone. Milo covered his ears. They're looking for me. A whisper came from the vent above them, dry, sharp, like an exhale from a throat made of dust. Come play. Adam grabbed Sarah's arm and shoved her toward the stairs. Move. But something else moved first. The hallway wall bulged outward with one violent push. A small shape pressed from behind the wallpaper. A head. A child-sized head. No face, just a dent the shape of one. Its outline crushed against the wallpaper as if staring from inside. The faceless head tilted. Slowly. Listening. Breathing. Sarah screamed. Adam dragged her and Milo down the stairs. The walls behind them thrashed with scratching, pounding, giggling, children breaking into full excitement. Everything they feared. The house loved. When they reached the downstairs hallway, the pounding stopped. The giggles faded. The wallpaper settled flat again like nothing happened. And the heater clicked back on, humming like a lullaby. Sarah held Milo tightly. Adam stood shaking, staring up the stairs, pale as death. He whispered, "We're not dealing with ghosts. We're trapped in something alive." That night, the Parker family finally reached their breaking point. Adam packed bags. Sarah bundled Milo in his jacket. They didn't care about the weather or the fact that it was almost midnight. They just wanted to get out of the house before the walls woke up again. But the house seemed to sense their decision. The heater stopped suddenly. The fridge clicked off. The hum of electricity died. Complete silence swallowed the farmhouse. Sarah froze, holding Milo tight. Adam whispered, "Don't move." But the silence was already too long. A giggle bubbled up from the kitchen wall. Then another from behind the couch. Then a third behind the front door. "Screa watch." The violent scratching shook the entire house at once, like dozens, no hundreds, of small hands digging from the inside. The floorboards trembled. Milo whimpered. Sarah covered his ears. Adam stepped toward the front door and grabbed the handle. He pulled. The door didn't move. He pulled harder. Still nothing. Then, knock, knock, knock. From inside the door. Sarah screamed and stumbled backward. The knocking grew faster, harder, like little fists pounding on the wooden door trying to punch through. Adam yanked at it again, but the knob wouldn't turn. It felt welded in place. "They locked us in," he whispered. Milo pointed down the hallway with shaking hands. "Mom, the wallpaper is moving." Sarah looked. It wasn't just moving. It was peeling itself back in long strips, like invisible hands were slowly unwrapping the walls from the inside. Under the peeling wallpaper, the boards pulsed, swelling outward as if something crawled underneath. A lullaby drifted through the ceiling. Gentle. Sweet. Completely wrong. Adam backed toward the kitchen. "We're getting out through the back door." But when they reached the kitchen, the back door was already open. Just a crack. Enough to see the dark yard outside. Enough to hear something breathing on the other side. A long shaky inhale. A slow rattling exhale. Like lungs that had been empty for years. Sarah grabbed Milo and pulled him away. "No. We go out a window." But the windows exploded inward before she finished speaking. Glass showered across the floor. Curtains blew inward as if pulled by small, invisible hands. The wind didn't cause it. There was no wind. Something else had done it. Something inside the walls. Adam shielded them. "We need noise. Now." He ran toward the TV and slammed the power button. Nothing. He hit it again. Still nothing. Every device in the house was dead. The children had killed the noise. The silence deepened. And from inside the walls came the sound of tiny feet. Running. Racing. Chasing. They were excited. They were coming. Sarah grabbed Milo and rushed into the hallway. The wallpaper had peeled further. Large flaps hung loose like torn skin. Behind one flap, something moved. A small hand. Gray. Dusty. Pushing out. The hand slid down the wall, dragging long dirty fingers, leaving streaks of dried soil behind. Another hand pushed out beside it. Then a shoulder. Then the shape of a small head pressing against the wallpaper, stretching it like rubber, trying to force its way through. The giggles grew louder. Adam pulled Sarah toward the staircase. Upstairs. But halfway up, every light bulb in the house exploded at once. Pop, pop, pop. Darkness swallowed them. Sarah clutched the railing. "Adam, I can't see." A whisper passed inches behind her ear. "Stay, it's fun." She dropped to her knees, dragging Milo down with her, covering him with her body. Adam lit his phone flashlight. The beam cut across the hallway. The children's handprints covered the walls. Hundreds. Fresh. Wet from the inside as if the wall itself was sweating fear. Then the beam landed on something worse. One strip of wallpaper had peeled open completely. Inside was the crawlspace. And inside the crawlspace, small bodies. Not living. Not moving. Pressed together, curled like they died while trying to hold one another. Children. Maybe 8 or 9 of them. Their empty sockets stared forward. Their mouths hung open as if still trying to scream. Sarah covered her mouth to choke a sob. Milo whispered, "They're still here, but not them." Adam slowly stepped backward. "What do you mean, Milo?" Milo stuck his finger toward the crawlspace. "The children in the walls, those aren't them." Before Adam could ask again, a new sound filled the house. Not scratching. Not humming. Not giggling. A low, heavy thud. From deep inside the walls. Then another. And another. Something big was waking up. Something that was not a child. The house went completely still. Then the whisper came. Not from one place. From every wall at once. Quiet. 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 The house wanted silence. The thing inside wanted silence. Sarah pulled Milo close as the farmhouse itself began to breathe, slow, long creaks like lungs expanding. The children in the walls had only been the first warning. Whatever hunted them now was much older, and it was finally awake, thing that needs silence. The house felt different now, like something huge was crawling behind every wall, listening through every crack, waiting for one thing: silence. Every time Adam's phone flashlight flickered, Sarah grabbed Milo tighter, terrified that even the smallest gap of quiet would bring the creature closer. They didn't know what it was yet, but the house did. The children did. And they were afraid of it. The first loud thud came from beneath the floorboards, deep, powerful, shaking dust loose from the ceiling. Then another one followed, closer. It didn't sound like little feet anymore. This was heavier, slower, purposeful. Adam whispered, "It's coming up from the basement." Sarah shook her head violently. "No. The kids died down there. We can't go near it." Milo clung to her shirt, trembling so hard she felt it through her spine. The scratching of the children returned, desperate, fast, like warning signals tapping through the walls. Scritch, scritch, scritch. The children weren't trying to hurt them anymore. They were trying to keep something back. Then one whisper slipped through, a child's voice, panicked. "Don't stop the noise. Don't stop, or he will come." The heater suddenly tried to turn on again, groaning. It rattled, sputtered, then died. Silence fell. The house inhaled. And something large, massive, scraped across the basement floor. A low growling breath rose from below. Not human. Not child. More like stone grinding. More like something dragging its weight forward. Sarah whispered, "Adam, we're going to die." Adam grabbed her arm. His voice cracked, but he tried to sound strong. "No. We run. No. Through the window." He smashed a chair against the living room window. The glass cracked but didn't break completely. The old farmhouse had storm glass, thick and reinforced. Behind them a new sound echoed. A slow, deep dragging up the basement stairs. Not walking. Not crawling. Dragging. As if something huge and ruined was pulling itself upward with hands too big to move quietly. Milo cried softly. Sarah covered his mouth instantly. Too late. The tiny sound, barely a whimper, entered the silence. And the thing sprinted. Boom, 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 boom. The footsteps exploded up the basement steps with inhuman speed. The walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling like snow. Sarah screamed, "Adam, break the window." Adam hit the glass again, this time the pane shattered. Cold air rushed in. Sarah pushed Milo toward it. But the house reacted. The walls began to close. Not literally closing, but the wallpaper tightened, squeezing inward as if shrinking to trap them inside. The floor creaked and bent. The children in the walls screamed, dozens of voices crying out in warning. "Run, run, run. Quiet, don't be quiet, please run." Adam lifted Milo through the window onto the porch roof outside. Sarah was climbing through next when everything froze. The footsteps stopped. Silence. Absolute silence. The one long inhale came from behind them. Slow. Smelling like dirt and rot. The thing was standing in the living room doorway. Sarah didn't turn. She didn't need to. She felt the cold crawling across her back. She felt the air ripple as something massive leaned forward. She felt the floor tilt under its weight. Adam grabbed her hand. "Sarah, go." She started to climb through. Crack. A long gray arm shot out of the darkness behind them, smashing into the wall where Sarah had stood a second earlier. The impact shattered plaster into clouds of dust. The arm was impossibly long. Thin but powerful. Covered in old dried mud. Fingers almost skeletal. The hand groped the wall, searching, eager. Sarah dove out of the window, rolling onto the porch roof as the monster's hand clawed after her. Adam followed, but the creature moved faster. Its hand dragged across Adam's back, tearing fabric and skin. Adam screamed, loud, sharp. The house reacted instantly. The children shrieked inside the walls. The wallpaper vibrated from their panic. And the creature behind them let out the first sound it had made. A low groan, hungry, ancient, shaking the entire house. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't anger. It was excitement. Adam managed to pull himself through the window, falling beside Sarah on the porch roof, bleeding and shaking. They looked through the broken glass. The creature stepped into view. It had no face, just a smooth gray surface where a face should be. Its head scraped the ceiling. Its limbs were too long, bending wrong. Its chest rose and fell slowly like something still learning how to breathe after decades trapped in walls. Sarah whispered, "What is that?" Milo answered in a trembling voice, "That's the house." Adam shook his head. No, no. Milo continued, voice breaking. That's what took the children. That's what keeps them trapped. That's why they whisper. The creature's head tilted toward Milo. It reached out a long finger and touched the window frame, pressing into the wood. Silence deepened. Then the whisper came, not from the children this time but from the creature itself. Cold. Echoing. Stay. Sarah grabbed Milo, crawling backward on the porch roof. Adam followed, pressing against his bleeding back. They had no idea how they were going to escape. They only knew one thing. The children in the walls weren't trying to harm them. They were trying to stop the monster. The real monster of the farmhouse. The one that only woke when the house went silent. The Parker family crawled across the porch roof, gripping the old shingles with shaking hands. Below them, the dirt yard stretched into darkness. Behind them, inside the house, the faceless creature stood at the broken window, its long fingers tapping the wooden frame. Tap, 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 slow, rhythmic, searching. Every tap sent a vibration crawling through Sarah's chest. Milo clung to her, frozen. Adam kept looking back, trying not to cry out from the pain in his back. They reached the edge of the porch roof. Adam whispered, "We jump." Sarah shook her head. "It's too high. Sarah, we don't have a choice." The house made the choice for them. The tapping stopped. Silence fell. A deep inhale came from inside the broken window, long and cold, like the house was sucking air from the night. Then the creature moved. Fast. Its long arms shot through the window, grabbing the porch roof. Its body began to pull itself out, the wood snapping under its weight. The roof bent. Crack. Adam didn't wait another second. He grabbed Milo and jumped off the edge. They landed hard in the dirt below. Sarah followed, hitting the ground with a sharp cry as pain shot up her ankle. Above them, the creature's face, smooth and empty, peered over the broken edge of the roof. It wasn't looking. It was listening. Its head tilted. Left, right, slow. Searching for the sound of breathing. Sarah covered Milo's mouth. Adam crouched beside them, lungs burning as he tried to breathe silently. The creature's long arms dangled over the edge, reaching, listening. Then a sound came from inside the walls of the house. Not scratching. Not giggling. Crying. Children crying. Dozens of them. Soft. Panicked. Pleading. Stop. Stop. Don't leave. Don't let him out. The faceless creature twisted its head toward the house, listening. The children cried louder. Go back. Go back. Don't follow. The creature let out a low groan, a sound that made the ground tremble. Then it climbed back into the house. Sarah didn't understand at first. Why did it go back? Milo answered without taking his eyes off the house. The children, they're trying to keep it inside. They're scared of it too. Adam swallowed hard. We run. Now. They moved quickly toward the dark fields behind the farmhouse. But after only a few steps, the ground vibrated again. Boom, boom, boom. The creature was walking across the house now, heavy steps shaking the old beams. Windows rattled. The floor inside creaked as something big moved toward the front door. Sarah whispered, Adam, it's coming. Adam grabbed their hands. Run. They sprinted across the field, the cold dirt hitting their feet. Milo tripped. Sarah picked him up. Adam stumbled. He forced himself forward. Behind them, the farmhouse door burst open. The creature stepped out onto the porch. Long limbs unfolding. Head tilting in the night air. Chest rising in slow, deliberate breaths. It stepped onto the dirt. Its feet dragged through the soil, leaving deep, unnatural grooves. Boom. Drag. Boom. Drag. The fields fell silent. No wind. No insects. Not even their breathing dared to make sound. And that was the problem. Silence made it faster. The creature paused, leaned forward, and inhaled deeply, tasting the quiet. Then it sprinted. Its long limbs slammed into the dirt, launching it across the yard with terrifying speed. Sarah screamed, not out loud but in her mind, as she clutched Milo and ran harder than she ever had in her life. Adam grabbed her arm. Don't stop, go. But the creature was almost on them. Its shadow stretched across the ground, reaching them before its body did. It swiped, its long fingers slicing through the air just inches from Sarah's hair. Sarah stumbled. Adam pulled her up. Milo cried softly. Too softly. Barely a sound. But it was enough. The creature froze. Tilted its head. Listen. Milo's sound had marked them. Adam lifted his son in his arms, panting, broken. Guys, run to the barn. The barn has tools. Metal. We can make noise. Sarah didn't question it. They raced toward the old red barn at the edge of the field. The large sliding door was half open. They squeezed inside and slammed it shut behind them. Inside, the barn was full of rusted tools, loose chains, metal buckets, and old tractor. Good. Noise. Noise could save them. Adam ran to the tractor and slammed a metal wrench against it. Clang. The sound echoed like a thunder strike. Sarah banged metal buckets together. Bang, bang, bang. Milo, shaking, hit a chain against a beam. Clink, clink, clink. Outside, the creature stopped. It stepped closer. But it didn't enter. Noise was its weakness. Sarah's heart pounded. We just have to keep making sound. Adam nodded. Until sunrise. Or until someone finds us. The barn trembled as the creature walked around it slowly, dragging its fingers along the outside wood. Listening. Waiting. Hours passed. The metal tools slipped in their hands. Their arms ached. Their fingers bled. Their legs shook. But they kept making noise. Because every time they paused for even half a second, the creature pressed its long gray fingers through cracks in the barn wall, trying to squeeze inside. By the time the first light of dawn appeared, their bodies were exhausted. But the creature's shadow faded with the rising sun. Its limbs pulled back. Its breathing slowed. It turned and walked back toward the farmhouse, slowly, as if it needed the dark more than it needed them. Sarah collapsed into Adam's arms, crying. We need to get help, Adam said. We need to tell someone. Milo stared at the farmhouse in the sunrise. The children won't let us leave, he whispered. Sarah turned to him. Why not? Milo's voice broke. Because if we leave, the house will go silent again. And then he will come out. For other children. Sarah covered her mouth. The children weren't trapping the Parkers. They were protecting the world outside. The sun had barely risen when the Parker family stepped out of the barn, exhausted, shaking, covered in dirt and dried blood. The farmhouse sat quietly in the morning light, looking almost normal again, like the horror of the night had never happened. But the silence around it wasn't peaceful. It was waiting. Adam limped toward the fields. We can run to the road. It's only 2 miles. A car will pass, someone will help us. Sarah didn't argue. She held Milo's hand tightly and followed. They took 10 steps before Milo stopped suddenly and pointed behind them. Mom? His voice cracked. The farmhouse changed. Slowly. Quietly. Terrifyingly. The walls began to curl inward as if something was pulling them from the inside. The porch collapsed. The windows caved inward. The whole house folded into itself like paper burning without fire. Sarah gasped. It's eating itself. No, Milo whispered. The children are trying to trap it. The wallpaper on the collapsing walls peeled upward like long tongues, curling into spirals. Underneath, dark crawl spaces began to open, black holes stretching deep into the house's bones. And from those holes, children cried. Hundreds of them. Layered. Echoing. We can't hold him. Not alone. Not anymore. Adam shook his head hard. We are not going back in there. We barely made it out. Then the ground trembled. Something massive struck the inside of the house. Boom. The roof jumped upward. Boards cracked. Dust exploded into the air. Boom. The front door blasted off its hinges. Boom. A long gray arm ripped through one wall, clawing the yard like it was searching for purchase. The faceless creature pushed through the collapsing hallway, dragging itself into the open sunlight, but sunlight didn't hurt it. It simply did not care. Its body moved like broken bones glued together. Its long fingers dug trenches into the dirt as it dragged itself forward. Sarah screamed. Run. They ran, faster than they had in their lives. The creature followed. Its limbs slapped against the ground with crushing force, sending dirt flying. Boom, drag. Boom, drag. But the children's voices rose behind them, crying, shouting, pushing through the walls that were now splitting open. He's free. He's free. We cannot hold him. Make noise. Make noise. Make noise. Adam stopped suddenly. Noise? We need noise. Sarah's heartbeat hammered in her ears. We don't have tools out here. Yes, we do. Adam cupped his hands and screamed. Hey, over here. The creature stopped. Its head tilted sharply toward him. Adam screamed again, louder. The creature lunged. Adam, no. Sarah cried. But Adam wasn't running away. He was pulling it toward himself. Sarah, take Milo. Run. Sarah grabbed Milo's hand but froze. She couldn't leave Adam. Not now. Not here. The creature sprinted, limbs bending the wrong way, its faceless head stretching toward Adam like it smelled his voice. Adam yelled louder, raw, desperate, hurting his own throat. The creature got closer, 10 feet, 5, 3. And then the children screamed, louder than the creature, louder than the house collapsing. The sun. The sun. Adam turned. The sun had risen fully above the treeline, and for the first time the creature reacted. Its smooth gray skin rippled. Its limbs shook. Its faceless head tilted away from the light. It moved slower, weaker. Sarah grabbed a metal bucket lying in the grass, old, rusted, and slammed it against a rock. Clang, clang, clang. The creature recoiled. Milo joined in, hitting 2 stones together. Click, click, click. Adam screamed again, long and loud, his voice echoing across the field. The creature lunged toward him, slower now, hissing in silent breaths. The sunlight crawled over its back. Its skin bubbled like black tar under heat. Sarah screamed, "Adam, get out of the shadow." He sprinted forward. The creature stretched its arm to grab him, but the moment its fingers reached beyond the barn's remaining shade, smoke rose from its skin. The limbs twisted, melting like wax. Its faceless head turned upward, trembling violently. The children's voices rose a final time. The sun. Bring him into the sun. Adam ran into the full light. The creature lunged after him, and sunlight hit it square in the chest. Its body convulsed. Its limbs curled inward. Its face, smooth and empty, cracked straight down the center. A shrill, silent scream erupted from inside its body, shattering the morning air. The creature took one shaking step, then another, toward the farmhouse, as if trying to retreat back into the dark. But the children whispered, "No more." The walls of the farmhouse collapsed inward, the crawlspaces twisting into black holes, dragging the creature back toward the cursed house. Adam, Sarah, and Milo stood helplessly as the creature was pulled into the imploding farmhouse. Its long fingers clawed at the dirt, leaving deep marks. Its faceless head lifted one last time. Then, the entire house sank into itself. A low rumbling. A collapse. A void swallowing wood and walls and monster. And then, silence. But this time the silence wasn't alive. It was just silence. The sun warmed the field. The whispers faded. The children's voices drifted off into the breeze. Milo held Sarah's hand tightly. "Are the children gone now?" he whispered. Sarah nodded softly. "They're free." Adam stared at the empty space where the farmhouse once stood. "We never talk about this," he said. "No one will believe it." Milo looked at the rising sun. "They didn't want to hurt us," he whispered. "They just wanted someone to keep him quiet." Sarah hugged him close. The monster was gone. The house was dead. The children were free. And the silence, for the first time since they arrived, felt peaceful. But far behind them, deep in the woods, something shifted under the ground. A soft scratching. Barely there. As if something old, something hungry, had not been trapped after all. Fade to black.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Leave us a comment for more stories like this. Your support means the world. Stay tuned for more videos.